I wrote about the precepts in the book Buddha's Heart. One of the ways I presented that is I borrowed from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, talking about the application outside, the application inside, and then the secret application. And by that, in relating to the precepts, what I mean is the outside is how do we relate to others? How is our relational, our social engagements? How does the precepts fit there? The inside would be how do we relate to ourselves, our history, our psychology, just the way we speak to ourselves even. We look at that, at our relationship to ourselves. And then finally the secret. And the secret is, what is the expression of the absolute in this precept? What's being communicated? What's being transmitted, received? So it's important to look at all three of these layers of the precepts to understand them. And as you work with them, I'm going to ask you to do that, to look at these in your life. And that'll be part of the postings that we'll do on Rizuku, where you'll be sharing what you're discovering. And I'm not expecting everyone to have the same experiences. Your lives are different, you're different people, so how it applies to you is going to be different than anyone else. So don't feel like you have to conform to any particular way. That's not how these work. They're very individualistic. So remember as you work with them that these are meant to be yours. The way the traditional precepts are presented tend to be prohibitive. For example, the first precept, as Snyder referenced, is do not kill. And the precepts are all paradox because Snyder said, we hold the precept, do not kill, and yet whatever we have for dinner tonight, we're going to be killing. Simply by breathing, we're killing other organisms, microscopic organisms. So we can't actually keep the precept, do not kill. So rather than treat it and look at it and have a sense of defeat, it's how do we take less life? How do we use less? How do we take what we need? And how do we not take more than we need? That's part of what this precept is about. The way that I framed it, the first precept, is the precept of preciousness. What does that mean? When you're relating to other people, what does it mean to meet them and to recognize and honor their preciousness with your preciousness? That's the outside. How do you relate to yourself? The internal dialogue, the understanding of yourself. How do you maintain, how do you generate preciousness as you relate to you? And then finally, opening to the absolute. What's precious in that contact, in that relationship, in that understanding? What does it mean to you? So this is a way that we'll investigate and explore each of these precepts. One of the first things that we'll start with, both here and in the Jukai ceremony, is atonement, forgiveness. I've got some forgiveness practices in Buddha's Heart. I introduce those at each in-person retreat I do. I'm going to plan on including this as part of our Jukai ceremony, that will start with the forgiveness practices, so we can let go of whatever's ready to be released back to the absolute.